off, we were talking about how a bill was introduced into the House and then the Senate and then the different rules. So remember, with the rules we're looking at is how long you're going to debate a bill, and are you going to allow any changes to it, which are called what? Amendments. Okay. So in the Senate, the rules are, there are no rules unless you have a unanimous consent agreement. All 100 agree to put on some rules. In the House, they have a House Rules Committee that comes up with the rules for each bill for the floor. How long we're going to debate it? Are we going to allow any amendments to it? This sort of thing. Yeah.
So in the House, if you say you set aside an hour for argument, for discussion, and then at the end of the hour, if there's not a clear winner, who decides?
Well, at the end of the debate, after an hour, you vote. Yeah. Majority wins. Except in the Senate. We kind of need 60 votes. Okay. So let's continue here. So generally what happens is you get your House version. So this is version 1. And then you get your Senate version. It's going to change. This is going to be version 2. So let's say this passes the House. They send it over here. The senators do their own thing with it. The bill changes over here. So this version is different. Version 2. Everybody with me? V1, V2. These are not rockets. World War II. All right. So version 2. They both pass, but they're different. What do you send to the president? You need a compromise, right? This is called a conference committee. Yes? What number is that on your book?
12.
Yeah. There's only 13, so we're getting close. Conference committee, okay? Now, who's on this conference committee between the House and the Senate?
The boards of each.
The people that were on the, say this was an agriculture bill, the people that were on the agriculture committee here, and people that were on the agriculture committee here. These people have already worked on this bill. So they're the ones that sit on this committee, right? They've got a vested interest in it. They've been to the hearings. They've been in the markup sessions. They know all about this bill. Okay. So the goal here is to compromise, okay, or reconcile the differences between the two bills. This is sometimes called reconciliation. Okay. The legislative term, reconciliation. Okay. So once they come up with what? Version 3. Yeah.
So if you have, like, which committees would it come from if there's not a designated committee for, like, in both the House and the Senate? So, like, there's a committee for education and the workforce, but there isn't a similar committee.
Right.
The Senate.
Whatever committee it was sent to.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Yeah. By the speaker, or by the majority leader, right? They're the ones who get to refer bills to committees. Were you gone yesterday? Did you watch my video? Okay, you want to watch it. Okay. Now I'm going to do a good review here. Okay. All right. So, version 3 now. This is the second time we've talked about this. Okay. Can the conference committee send version 3 to the president? No. Can't do that. So, version 3's got to go back to the Senate, back to the House for a vote. The exact same bill has to pass both houses. Okay? Once that happens, then they can send it to the president. Okay? Which is step 13. Now, let me make sure I'm not forgetting anything in here. Yeah, and they'll write a report that members can look at, just like the other report, which the reports are important because that's what most members make their decision based off the report, not the debate. So when they're debating this for 30 minutes, guys, on the floor, or an hour on the Senate or the House floor, nobody's listening. Turn on C-SPAN, and they'll be showing you the House of Representatives, and somebody will be on the floor talking, and nobody will be listening. The room will be empty or partially empty. You know what I mean? Like, nobody's listening. They've already made up their mind. This is just their chance to talk about it. Okay? All right. Final action. The bill becomes enrolled and is sent to the President of the United States. He's got 4 options. How many options? 4 options. 1, put his John Hancock on there and sign it. Becomes law. Okay? 2, veto. Coach Lawbon used to say, V word. Veto. Okay? Now, there's 2 other options. Who knew? One is called a pocket veto, and the other one doesn't have a name until we created it back in 1998. 99, when I first started teaching government. Created a term, political science term.
Ghostwriter.
Called the ghostwriter. Hey, you paying attention? What is wrong with you? Okay. Both deal with this. So you send the bill to the president, okay? 10 days. 10 days. Okay? So he can sign it, veto it, or it can sit on the president's desk. We'll go desk for 10 days. If Congress is in session, kind of like the 4-H was in session yesterday, or Congress is adjourned. You in there? They are not in session. They are adjourned. At the end of 10 days, this is a pocket veto. If Congress is in session at the end of those 10 days, it automatically becomes law. Which there's no political science term, so we named it. Actually, I'm going to give credit to the student that named this back in 1999. Her name was Dawn Garens. Any of you guys know Dawn Garens? She your aunt or anything? Last I heard, she was bartending at Reflection Ridge. It was 1999. The ghost writer provision. Okay, so it's like a ghost aside. It's automatically becoming law. You like that? Now, I've had about 2,000 government students learn that term. So at some point in the future, like filibuster, like gerrymandering, like pocket veto, ghostwriter will become part of the political science lexicon. Maybe it's long after I'm dead, but it's going to happen. Yes.
So this is kind of weird. It's like if Congress has to be in session, it's law. But if not, no.
It's a pocket veto. So guys, listen. Sometimes the president is preoccupied. He's got stuff going on. Okay. Or sometimes the president doesn't have the to actually veto. Or the president doesn't agree with the law, but he knows that's the will of the people. He doesn't want to put his name on it, so he just lets it become law. Kind of cool. The founders thought of all this stuff. Okay? Now, that's how a bill becomes a law. So, let's review. Ready? How the Affordable Care Act, otherwise known as Obamacare, became law. Now, President Obama said, I don't mind people calling it Obamacare, because he was proud of it. So we're going to call it Obamacare, but it's also called the Affordable Care Act. You with me? Now, this is something Democrats have been trying to do since Harry Truman, since 1948. Okay, the Democrats have been trying to pass some sort of national health care system. You with me? So in 2008, Barack Obama's running for president. And like Bill Clinton before him, they talked about doing this. So we don't be surprised when he gets elected and he tries to do it. Okay? It's called a campaign promise. A lot of campaign promises go unfulfilled. Yes? Now, so in 2009, there's a lot going on. Democrats control both houses of Congress. Obama takes office. He's got 2 years to do whatever he wants. Because Democrats are in control, he's in control. So what do they focus on? The border? No. Healthcare? Yes. Okay. So, 2009. The House of Representatives. Who is the Speaker? What's her name? Nancy Pelosi is the Speaker of the House. Okay? For the second time. She was Speaker. Democrats lost control of the House. They got it back. She was Speaker again. First and only female Speaker of the House in American history. Okay? Now, Nancy Pelosi's on board with Obama on this. Okay? So, who's going to write 2,600 pages? The committees. This will be sent to 11 different committees in the House to work on because it's so big. So that kind of answers your question. Like, a lot of these committees had nothing to do with healthcare. You understand? Okay. But the Democrats are in control of every committee. The chair of every committee is a Democrat. Yes? So she says, you're taking this, you're taking this, you're taking this, you're taking this, you're taking this. You're going to study it, you're going to have hearings, and do this and this and this. Okay? Now, so 11 different committees. It's got to pass each committee, right, with a recommendation, either a positive, no recommendation, or anything. They just got to pass it out of committee. Yes? So all 11 committees pass this. Okay? Then it's sent to the floor. The House Rules Committee says no amendments. Closed. Okay? We're going to debate this for, I don't know, 2 hours. 2,600 pages we're going to debate. In 2 hours. Now, Democrats control the House of Representatives. Okay? So, this bill is going to pass version 1 of the Affordable Care Act, okay? Obamacare. Not one Republican will vote for it. So, it's a party line vote. Or I believe 2 Democrats that vote against it. Okay? But they have enough of a majority, it's fine. They got it. Okay? So, version 1 passes. Everybody with me? Yeah. Going over to the Senate. Now, this bill hasn't started in the House because it is going to cost money. Okay? Go over to the Senate. Now, in charge of the Senate is that guy, Harry Reid, that I talked about the other day. Okay? He's the Senate Majority Leader. The Democrats have 60 seats. The Republicans have 40 seats. Okay? Now, I got to stop for a second and tell a story. In 2007, one of these Democratic senators, whose name was Ted Kennedy, the youngest brother of John F. Kennedy, President Kennedy, his youngest brother, Ted Kennedy, is a senator from Massachusetts. Everybody with me? He's been in the Senate for decades. When he dies, they call him the Lion of the Senate. He ran for president in 1976. He challenged Jimmy Carter for the Democratic nomination when Carter was unpopular. Okay? He's famous. In 2007, he's diagnosed with brain cancer. And this is 2 years early. Okay? Now, if a senator dies while in office, who gets to appoint the new senator for the remainder of that term? The governor of that state. In 2007, the governor of Massachusetts was a Republican. Believe it or not. Republican governor of Massachusetts. Mitt Romney was once the governor of Massachusetts. This guy's name was Wells. Okay? So the Democrats were scared that Kennedy, diagnosed with brain cancer, was going to die, and a Republican governor was going to pick a Republican senator for Massachusetts. So the state legislature in Massachusetts in 2007 changed the law. And they said, if a senator dies, one of our U.S. senators dies, we will hold a special election to fill that seat. Everybody with me? Okay. That's 2007. Now, so the Senate takes up version 2. What are the rules in the Senate? There are no rules. So this version 2 is going to look drastically different than version 1. And because the Democrats have 60 votes, the Republicans can't do what? They can't stop it. You cannot stop this bill. Nothing the Republicans can do. No filibuster. So version 2 goes through. In fact, Ted Kennedy is there. And it turns out, guys, this will be the last vote he makes in the United States Senate. He will vote in favor of this. And version 2 will pass 60-40. So both versions have passed without one Republican vote. This is a major overhaul to our system. Okay? All right. Because these versions are so different, we got to go where? So this could be a pretty big conference committee with all these different committees that this bill was sent to, yeah? Yeah. Now, remember, guys, these conference committees are important because everybody knows you're going to have two different versions. So if there are mistakes in this bill or mistakes in this bill, they know they can be fixed here. You understand? So they're not too concerned about the exact wording and so forth of these bills because they know they can be fixed. There's time to fix them with version 3. Okay. So while they're meeting in conference, version 3 is worked on. Ted Kennedy dies. Oh, did I mention in 2008, Massachusetts elected a Democratic governor? But they've already changed the law. So they got to hold a special election. So right now, the Democrats, because Kennedy dies, only have 59. 60 votes for a cloture to end the filibuster. So if they send version 3 over to the Senate before that seat is filled, Republicans can filibuster. You with me? So they hold a special election, and everybody's waiting. And whoever wins that election in Massachusetts is going to cast the deciding vote for Obamacare. And the voters of Massachusetts know this. I mean, this is all in the media, right? Everybody knows. So the Republicans put up this guy named Scott Brown. He's a former underwear model. Kind of a hot dude, all right? Scott Brown is a moderate because you don't get elected as a conservative in Massachusetts, right? You're a moderate. He's a moderate Republican. But he says, if I'm elected, I will not vote for Obamacare. See, guys, Massachusetts already has a health care system. In fact, Obamacare was modeled after the Massachusetts health care system in their state. And so the people in Massachusetts are like, we don't really need this. We already have a health care system. And the Democrats put up a bad candidate. I don't even remember her name. She was not a good candidate, though. And Scott Brown went around saying, I'm going to vote against this. Guess who won? Scott Brown won. Version 3 is written. If you send it back to the Senate, what's going to happen? Till kingdom come. The Republicans will fight this tooth and claw till the end. Okay, my honor students, The exact same bill has to pass both houses in order to go to the president. How does Obamacare become law? What you got, Elizabeth? You got it already? You know? I saw you working through that. The exact same version has to pass both houses. And Obamacare did become law.
Convince one Republicans.
You got to flip a Republican? Not going to happen. Even Mitt Romney will vote against this.
Find a way to get around it.
Come on, guys. Come on.
Scrub the color Republicans if they can't.
Nothing too nefarious here. Just smart. No tie votes here, baby. You guys are gonna kick yourself, I tell you. Go ahead.
Is it the Speaker of the House?
What about him? What about him?
Since she was a Democrat, if it's at deadlock, she has a vote?
No. There's no deadlock in the House.
That's weird.
All right, you ready? Yeah. Guys, one of these two bills has already passed the Senate. You take version 2 and send it over to the House. And Nancy famously says that, you guys, you can look this up. I'm not making it up. Nancy says, you got to pass the bill to find out what's in the bill. You got 24 hours. We're voting on it. Version 2. And of course, all the Democrats, with the exception, I think, 2, voted for it. Every Republican voted against it. So version 2 becomes the law. Now, remember, it didn't go through reconciliation. Again, you can go back and look. Now, people won't admit that today, but you go back and look and say, version 2 was a bad bill. It was not ready. It needed to go through reconciliation. You understand? They were expecting changes to it. It was not ready for prime time, but that's the only way they could pass it. Okay. Pretty interesting how that happened. Okay. Now, guys, Obamacare today is a shell of its former self. Okay, so when Trump got in, Republicans took control of Congress in 2016. They started repealing certain parts of it that they thought were wrong, like the employer mandate, the individual mandate. Now, the part that we still have that most people like, which I kind of like right now too, is my son is 23 and he can still be on my health care until he's 26, through the age of 26. At 27, you got to leave the nest when it comes to health care. Buy your own. Okay. Now, my son can get health care through his new job. Good job, Jack. But he doesn't have to. So he can save that money. He can stay on mom and dad's until he's 27. Okay. So when you get a job, I mean, that's, you want to be able to get a job that offers health care. Okay. As part of your benefits package. All right. Some are better than others. So some jobs you have, you're going to have to pay more towards your premium. The employer's going to pick up part of the premium. You're going to pick up part of the premium. Okay. The diocese, when I hit 25 years as a teacher here, employee for 25 years, it's really cheap. Like that's one of the best benefits they have here. If you're here for 25 years, like it's like $100 a month. Now we stayed on my wife's. We'll look at it, but we're kind of looking at the two plans. She's got a good plan. We don't really want to change. Coke doesn't pick up all of it, but they pick up a lot of it. So, yeah. So you feel pretty good about how a bill becomes a law. Okay. Tomorrow will be a review day. I had forgotten, I did not post that. I posted it last night. Okay. The review sheet. So tomorrow you come in, I'll tip you off a little bit about the test, or I can do that now if you want. Okay. I'll just keep recording. Let me pull up test. Section 4. Test. Okay. 54 points. 15 matching. Okay. Now, remember, A and B on the matching are House and Senate. They'll give you things like only this body does presidential appointments, approves presidential appointments. Which one's that? Senate. Treaties. Impeach. Impeach, formally accused means the House. Trial for the impeachment, Senate. Okay, those sorts of questions. Okay. Not all 15 are not them. Now, if you look at the review sheet, there's terms. Okay, so like normal.
Not all 15 are House or Senate.
Right. There's like 5 or 6 that are House or Senate. Okay. All right, fill in the blank. 1, 2, 3. Now, of those 14, fill in the blank. 7 are names of human beings. So what am I looking at there? Leadership of the House and Senate, their names, and Kansas senators and 4th district. You don't need to know the 1st, 2nd, and 3rd districts of Kansas, just the 4th that we live in. Everybody lives in the 4th district. We all do. That's Ron Estes. All right. The other fill in the blanks deal with Congress as a whole.
You know our senators.
Yeah.
Sure that.
Powers of Congress. Yeah, those aren't bad, guys. Okay. Then I have 4 2-point short answers. Name 2. I don't think I can. No. I'll go over that in a second. Name two. What is and give 2? Okay. I'll go over those right now. How much time do I have? Okay. How a bill becomes a law. Okay. There are 5 1-point questions. Most bills. Who decides? What is the person called? Who decides? What does it take? So 5 1-pointers and 6 2-pointers. Other than A, what options? Why are, after a bill, what is the role discuss the importance of. That's it. Okay, a couple things in the notes that just struck a chord with me that I don't remember going over. Non-voting members of Congress. In your notes, under the House of Representatives, non-voting members of Congress, okay? So we have territories in the District of Columbia, yes? So you got Guam, the American Virgin Islands, American Samoa, and Puerto Rico, right? Those are American territories in the District of Columbia, okay? All of them have non-voting members of Congress. They are members, but they can't vote. They can speak, they can vote in committee, they can be on committees, but they can't vote on the floor. Does that make sense? So in a sense, the people that live in DC, if there's a tax bill and they can't vote on it, what did John Adams call that? Taxation without representation. Okay? Voters of DC. Now, Democrats would love to give DC 2 senators and a representative because they would all be Democrats. And who's going to fight that? Republicans. Okay. The other thing. Okay. In your book, page 73. Beck, do you know what an incumbent is? Okay. An incumbent is somebody that holds the office, is running for re-election. So Joe Biden is the incumbent in this next election. Ron Estes, if he's running for re-election, is the incumbent. You with me? So, what advantages do incumbents have that challengers don't have when running for office?
If they did a good job, people are gonna like them more. And
Okay, they have a record.
People already know who they are.
Name recognition. Okay. Money. Now, they also, if you look at the bottom of page 73, benefits that help incumbents get reelected. Free mail. So Ron Estes, now he can't send out campaign literature for free, but what he can do is say what he's accomplished in the House while he's been there over the last 2 years. He can say, this is what I'm up to. This is what I'm voting for. This is what I'm voting against. And he can do that for free. So he can mail a mailer to every 800,000 people, all 800,000 people in this district. Or 700 and, what did we come up with? 780,000 in each of the 4 districts, right, of Kansas, right? All 435 seats basically represent 780,000 because you divide 435 into 330 million. Yes? Now, Wyoming doesn't have 780,000 people, but they still get one representative. Yes? Okay. All right. Other free printing and distribution of speeches and newsletters. So the printing and the mailing is free. They also have a budget for travel. So guys, if you represent California, that's a long way from DC. So you need to go back and forth because you need to be able to meet with your constituents. Who's a constituent? People that live in your district are your constituents. Okay? We are all constituents of Joe Biden. We are all constituents of Governor Laura Kelly. We are all constituents of both Kansas Senators, Marshall and Moran. We are all constituents of Ron Estes. Yes? Now, some of the other nice compensation they get in here, if you look at page 73, free parking at the Capitol, they get plants for their offices, tax deduction for 2 residences, these sorts of things. Okay, and a nice pension. Now, you got to serve in Congress for 5 years to get the pension. So if you serve 1 term as a senator, you get a pension for the rest of your life. In the House, you got to be elected 3 times. So our friend Mr. Santos was just expelled. No pension for you.
What was he expelled for?
Huh?
What was he expelled for? See the money in the
Campaign
wall stuff?
finance. I mean, he hasn't been convicted of anything, which sets a bad precedent, by the way. Like, there are many principled, like, House Republicans that voted against the expelling. Okay? They're just saying, listen, you can't expel somebody who hasn't been found guilty.
It is.
But they did.
Is Santos a Republican or Democrat?
He's a Republican. So Republicans have 1 less seat now in the House. They're going to hold a special election. So when a House member dies or resigns or is expelled, they hold a new election. Senate, most states, it's still the governor gets to pick the senator. Okay. Not Massachusetts. Okay.
You should run for. You should run against.
So I asked one time a friend of mine that is in the know,